Okay, hello everyone. This is my pop-up humanities presentation, and I'm doing my presentation on sign language. So today I'm going to try and convince you that sign language is the most important language to learn out of all of them: English, Spanish, German, French, Russian, and any other language that you know or that you've heard of. Sign language is the most important. Okay, so sign language definition is that it refers to any means of communication that involves body movement and is often used when speech is hard. Sign language is also used to communicate through a language barrier. So one example of this is that the Chinese and Japanese, they use sign language because they have the same body of characters with their two languages, but the only thing that's different is pronunciation. So in order to take account for that pronunciation difference, they can use signs and they can understand each other that way with just signs. Another example in history is that the Plains Indians of North America used sign language to communicate with others to convey familiar symbols. Like they would draw a circle in the sky with their fingers to symbolize the moon. And so sign language is also used by people who are unable to speak, and members of some religious communities use sign language if they refuse to speak. Individual gestures in sign language are called signs, and each sign has three main parts: the handshake, position of the hands, and the movement of the hands. I got this information from washington.edu and britannica.com. Okay, so sign language started in the 16th century when Geronimo Cardano started to teach deaf people by writing symbols and associating them with other things around the world. It really gained popularity, and it really started up when Charles Michael de Lepe created a school for deaf people in Paris, and he became known as the father of the deaf. So he's officially given recognition for inventing sign language. Uh, but it's been improved upon since he made it. So now most countries around the world have their own version, and it's changed a lot. Uh, I got this information from Patara.com and StartASL.com. So there's different types of sign language. As I said before, there's 300 different types, and the most popular types are BSL, ASL, Auslan, NZSL, ISL, CSL, and Indo-Pakistani. Um, so even some countries that share the same language don't share the same sign language. For example, Australia, UK, United States, they all have different sign languages, but they all speak English. And that has to do with the dialects and different ways to represent different things. So as a result of having so many different sign languages, um, it's necessary to have lots of interpreters. So if you're an interpreter for sign language, you can't just be an interpreter for generic sign language. You have to specialize and say you're an interpreter for ASL sign language or BSL sign language or any of the other ones that are popular or not popular. And so you can see that there's differences in between ASL and BSL in these pictures uh, on the slide. And that leads us into this question here. What's the big difference between ASL and BSL? Can any of you guess? Um, Pause this video here, raise your hand, try to guess, and let's move on. All right. So, oh yeah, and the sources from that were AI Media TV, kinternational.com, takelessons.com, and sciencesolutions.uk.com. Now, why sign language is important is that it's one of the most used languages in the U.S. It's the fourth most studied language at American universities. Between 250,000 and 500,000 people use it in the U.S. It's used by people who are deaf, and there's lots of career opportunities in being an interpreter for a specific sign language. You can work in hospitals, courts, government agencies, and state legislatures. I got this information from healthyhearing.com and leadwithlanguages.org. Okay, so for the activity, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sign some different letters in ASL, sign language, and you can take notes and you can write down what I'm saying so that because what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to repeat these letters and form them into a word that your partner is going to try to repeat back to you. So you're going to form up into groups. All right, so for the first letter, we got S. So we're going to make a 4-letter word at least. So you can just like write down 4 of these too if you want. You can try that. So S is like this. T is like this. A is like this. R is like this. B is like this. Okay. U like this. C is like this. And K is like this. So I gave you the letters. It spells out Starbucks, or Starbuck. But then make your own 4-letter word or more. Don't use Starbucks though. Alright. So lastly, I'm trying to convince you while you're trying to repeat the symbols with your partner. Here's a video that I thought was kind of cool, and I'm trying to convince you that sign language is most important to learn over any other language. So here's
She's off again.
Sorry, she can't talk very well for a speech. She can't sign. Well, she does animals and things like that, but she's getting there.
So yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool video. Just that little girl, her Christmas was made because Santa knew sign language. That probably made her Christmas. Now she's very happy. And so yeah, that will conclude my presentation.